All right, guys, welcome to the Simply Soccer podcast. That will not be my intro for all of them. That was awful. But welcome to the podcast. Well, today we have a few things to cover. First and foremost, last week we went over visualization and meditation for soccer players. I kind of had a feeling that one wouldn't be highly viewed, but that's okay because hopefully the players and the people that need to see it did see it. And I hope some of you have been using those meditation and visualization techniques I went over because I truly believe that they're so beneficial. I myself have still been doing it every day since then. I think I'm somewhere in week 3 of meditating every day for an hour or two. So I've already seen incredible benefits from it. And if you've been doing it every day since that podcast, or you were doing it before that, you can let me know some of the things you see or that come about from you doing meditation and visualization. So first, a few announcements before we get into the topic of today's podcast. And I'm very excited about this podcast as well, by the way. More on that later. First and foremost, very exciting news is the free ebook I was promising to bring out is as of right now out. It is being released to my email list, which means if you are on my email list, make sure you check your email. It will be sent in there. I will have an email that's sent out that will link you to the page where you can download the ebook. I think this ebook is going to be very, very helpful. It can be a great resource for you as you start improving as a person and as a player. I can't even speak right now. I need to speak a little more slowly. Anyway, check your email. If it's not in your email and you are on the list, check your spam folder because sometimes the emails I send out will end up in there. If it's, I think I use MailChimp, so they're usually pretty good at making sure they don't go in spam folders, but sometimes they will. So just check that. Now, if you are not on my email list and you want to get the ebook and a free training course, all you have to do is go to SimplySoccerPro.com. I will link it in the description of this podcast, so you can just go check it out. Go to SimplySoccerPro.com, and on the home page, there will be an icon that says download now. All you have to do is click on that, and it will ask for your email and your first name. You can put anything in there. It doesn't really matter. So put your name in there along with your email. And then it will give you some instructions from there. So from there, just follow the instructions. I think you'll then get an email which says, confirm, or something like that. You click on that. It'll go through this whole thing. And then it will send you the first email of the training course. It'll be in a welcome email, which will have a link to the ebook. So you'll be getting both. And I really recommend that if you haven't gotten these things yet, that you get them because, they're absolutely free. There's a lot of great information and drills and practices you can do contained within in the course and the ebook. And I also am going to be sending out a lot more emails, probably this summer, with free trainings, updates on things, so you get first access of that. And for example, this ebook is only available to people on my email list. It's not on a page that anyone can access. You have to be on my email list to get this ebook. So there's always stuff like that, and I have so many other things in the works. It's just absolutely amazing. I have so many ideas that I'm putting into action right now, and a lot of this is going to be going out to my email list. So make sure that if you want that free ebook and that training course, that if you're on the email list, check your email. And if you're not, go to SimplySoccerPro.com to get it. Anyway, that's my little announcement. Now let's get into the topic of this podcast. Remember, you can leave me suggestions for topics and your questions in the comments. And I will, if I like it, I will answer them in a podcast. So anyway, today is another day that I'm going to be doing a live stream as well. But I've given myself some more time, so I won't be interrupted this time when I'm doing the podcast like last time. Anyway, so the topic we're going over is something I've learned recently. I've been doing a lot of kind of not soul searching, but a lot of connecting to myself, a lot of self-love, not like that, but a lot of self-love. And it's been leading me to certain influencers and certain people who have, kind of shared some really profound ideas with me and ideas that are starting to really help shift my life in the direction I want to go. And I'm going to share with you one of those ideas today, and what it can mean for you and what it can do for you. So the idea, and it's from someone named Kyle Cease, and he says, when a lot of people, they ask themselves questions, because we're always asking ourselves questions, right? The way our mind works is you kind of he says it's like Google. You'll ask it a question and then it will go, why? And then it will try and find the answer. So if you say something like, today sucked, your mind will go, why? And then it will find the answer, right? It'll be like, well, because this happened and that happened and that happened. And so he says constantly we're always asking ourselves these kind of questions, or we're always telling these kind of things to ourselves. And the only thing our mind can do at that point is go why and find an answer. So you could go like, this project is terrible. And then it goes, why? Or I'm an awful soccer player. And then it will go, why? And it will come up with reasons. It will find reasons. But the opposite's true as well. You can say something, instead of saying, I'm so bad at soccer, if you say, you know what, I'm pretty good at soccer, your mind again will go, why? And it'll be like, oh yeah, well, I can do this and I can do that on a more positive way. So it's that's what we're getting at today. But the question that I really, when I heard it, I was like, oh my God, that's so simple, but so brilliant. Because all the ideas that start coming into your head when you ask yourself this question, well, I'll just tell you what it is. So essentially, the question he said is, how good can life get? And to me, that is incredibly profound, because usually we're talking about things like, this sucks, that sucks, I can't do this, I can't do that. But with this question, your mind then starts looking for those answers. How good can it get? And instead of thinking from a negative, it's thinking, well, that's interesting. Well, if this happened, that could be really good, or this, or that, or if this happens, and you start coming up with all these ideas over and over again. And through this, I've started coming up with a ton of ideas. It starts basically eliminating that limiting belief system that you have. Now, of course, if you have a very negative mindset already, you might ask yourself this question and you might revert right back to negativity. But you keep asking yourself this and you keep searching for the answers. How good can life get? And you will start finding more and more answers of like, well, it could get this good or this good. Oh my God, even this good if this happened and this happened and that happened. And I did this and that. And you start coming up with so many things. Now, that's actually not the question I'm going to be going over today. That's where I'm getting this. So that's the influence for what I'm about to ask you, or for what I'm about to give you. What I'm about to give you is adjusted for soccer, obviously, since this is a soccer channel. So you can go ahead and ask yourself that question as well, and continually ask yourself, how good can life get? Because again, you'll start looking for the answers, right? You'll start visualizing what you could do. You'll start having all these ideas come in so long as you keep asking that. But that's not what I'm gonna, you can totally do that. But what I'm gonna suggest is we tweak that a little and we go, how good can I get at soccer? How good can I get at this? So we're going to make it soccer. You can do this for anything though. How strong can I get? How in shape can I get, right? So by asking this question for soccer now, how good can I get at soccer? You start visualizing how good you can become. Instead of limiting yourself by saying something like, and this is not like a question you're asking where you go, well, how good can I really get? That's not how you're asking this. You're asking this from a very quizzical, curious mindset. So thinking really I wonder how good I could get. Kind of like that. And when you ask that question, you kind of go, well, I could probably, one is you'll probably eventually come to the answer. There's no limit to how good I can get. You'll probably eventually, after doing this enough times, come to that answer. It's kind of like when you ask the question, how good can life get? You keep going up and up and up. Maybe the first time you ask that self, you have a certain image of it, but you keep asking yourself and you keep going, well, this is possible too, and this is possible. And you start seeing that there's many more possibilities than you thought of the first time around. So when you ask yourself this, don't be self-deprecating. Don't be negative about it. Don't go, yeah, well, don't say it from the how good can I get from a negative place. How good could I get at soccer really? I mean, because I suck. But you're going back to that original place of saying, I suck, and then your mind's going to go, why? And it's going to find all the answers, right? So instead, you're just going to ask yourself very curiously, be very curious about this. Don't be self-deprecating. Don't be negative. Just be very curious and go, how good at soccer can I get? And I guarantee, I don't guarantee, but most of the time you'll come to the answer after doing this enough times and you'll tell yourself, well, is there really a limit to how good I can get? Is there? And you'll start thinking of the ways you can start getting better, because you can go, how good can I get at soccer? And then you can start visualizing what that looks like. And you'll start seeing, well, if I practice this would help me get a lot better at this, which once I get to that stage, I could do this and I could do this. And then I could, go and work on this. And I could, you start seeing all the potential within yourself, all the possibilities within yourself when you constantly ask this question. And the great thing is this will continue to change as you get better, as you keep asking yourself this question. And you can write the things that come up down. You could ask yourself, how good at soccer can I get? Quizzically, curiously write down whatever it is you come up with. Then you can put into action whatever you've come up with. So let's say you're like, how good can I get? Well, I can get this good. And then you can ask yourself, how? So how can I get this good? How can I get to a point when I'm doing that? And you kind of reverse engineer it, right? So you go, how good can I get? Oh, I can get this good. Yes, totally. I can totally get that good. Then you go, okay, so how am I going to get that good? Then you reverse engineer it and go, okay, well, I do this. But before I do that, I need to do this. And before that, I need to do this. And then I step by step make my way there, right? But here's the great thing. Once you get to that place, once you get better, you can ask yourself the question again. And now because you've gotten better, there are all these other possibilities you see. All this other potential you didn't realize you have or had showing up. So now you're like, whoa, I'm at this level. How much better can I get? How good at soccer can I get now? And you go, you know what? I got to here. I can definitely get to here. And you do the same thing. You're like, how do I get there? You're like, okay, I'll do this, this, and this. All right. Now, sometimes you don't even need to know the how. Sometimes you just need to know the why. You should always know the why first, right? But you don't need to know the how. Maybe you think, okay, I definitely can get this good, but I don't know how. You don't always need to know the how. The how might come to you later. So don't always think you need to know it right away. Because a lot of times I'll be doing like a, how can I, I'll give you an example. With whys and hows. So for example, maybe if I'm relating this to SimplySoccer, I could go, why do I do SimplySoccer? And I can go, well, I want to help as many players get as good as they can. I want to, impact people in a positive way. I want to, basically share the information I have and all that, right? Then I go, well, how do I do that? Right? And at first I go, I don't know how I do that. But then the idea came to make a YouTube channel. And I'm like, okay, we're going to go with that. I didn't know how it was going to turn out. When you come with your hows, don't try and control them. And what I mean is, don't try and think that they have to happen a certain way. Because when you do something like I did, create a YouTube channel, I have no idea if that's going to fail, succeed. I have no idea what's going to happen, but I'm not concerned about that because I'm just looking at my why, and this is one way I can do my why. If this doesn't work, there's many other ways I can do my why. So that's one of the hows. And, luckily for me, YouTube started working. So I went, how can I do it more? Okay, I'll release a free ebook. Just did that. That was one of my hows on how I could fulfill my why, which was impact players, which was, help people get better, even when they don't have professional level coaches or this or that, right? And it started growing even more to, I want to help players realize they have so much potential and all this, right? So you can kind of see just from really putting this all together of asking that question of how good can it get? How much can I make an impact? Why am I doing this? All that, all these ideas start coming through. So continually ask yourself that question. How good at soccer can I get? Continually ask yourself. It's not good enough to ask once and then, you get to that point and go, well, this is as good as I thought I would get. You continually ask yourself that question because a month from now, you might have different answers. As you move further along, as you continue to evolve and get better at soccer, life, whatever it is, your perspective changes. And what that means is once you become a player that's better, who you think is more skilled, and once you become that player where you say, okay, I'm better than I was a month or two ago, you start thinking of other things. You start learning new things that you can now apply to answering that question of how good can I get, right? So then you start to apply those things more. So you go, okay, how good at soccer can I get? I'm like, well, I just learned this new technique that's really helpful. I just learned that being consistent is a lot, blah, 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 whatever it is. And then you go, okay, well, now I can get to here by doing this, this, and that. Okay? So continually ask yourself, how good can I get? Remember, don't do it in a self-deprecating way. Don't do it in a kind of negative way where you go, well, how good can I really get? You do it in a positive, kind of curious kind of way. And you kind of let the answers come through. And you keep doing this, right? Because more and more stuff will keep coming through. More and more ideas will keep coming into your head. More and more strategies will start coming up as well. So that's one thing to do. Okay, so we are going to do another topic too, because I thought I would have enough talking points with that alone. But I think I've covered it, and we're only halfway through the podcast. So I did have another topic I did want to talk about. I just have to get it. It's right here somewhere. You know what? Let's continue along the lines that we've been going over right now. So we've talked about asking this question. How good can I get at soccer? And again, you can apply this to other areas. Like the main question I learned this from was how good can life get? So I just adjusted it to make it relevant to soccer. But you can use that one too. Ask yourself, how good can life get? I'll ask myself that. I've been asking that to myself recently a lot. And when I ask that self, not only do I feel really, really good and energized and positive when I ask myself that, because all these ideas are coming through, but like I just said, all these ideas are coming through and I'm writing them down and I'm like, oh yeah, I could do this and I could do that. How good can this get? How good can, and all this stuff starts to come through because I'm asking the right question. You ask a powerful question, you get powerful answers. You ask a bad question, you get bad answers. Like if you ask, why do I suck so much? Guess what kind of answers you're going to get? Terrible, terrible answers. Answers that are going to just reinforce that belief that you suck. Because again, your mind hears that question and it goes, well, okay, let's find out. Why do we suck? But if you ask a question like, how good can I get? Your mind then goes, okay, let's see, how good can we get? Oh, well, we could do this, right? Oh, what about that video we saw about this technique? We could try that out. Oh, what about this idea? Do you kind of see how that works? It all comes down to the question you're asking yourself. If you keep yourself in this negative mindset of actually believing you suck, and I guarantee you don't, the only reason you believe that is you're comparing yourself to someone else. You're looking at someone else who's better than you, who you think is better than you, and might be better than you, more practiced, more skilled, because they've put more time and effort into it. And because you're comparing yourself to that person, you automatically assume you suck. But you're probably right where you need to be for whatever level you're at, right? For how long you've been doing it. And because you think that you're not as good as someone else now at a specific skill, you think it's always going to be that way. But it doesn't. Things change. If you put in the work, you put in the consistency, it can change. And that's what I kind of want to talk about. I want to talk about how much potential you truly have. And this is an idea I went over a long time ago in a book I made called Untapped Potential. But it really, really is true. We all have this idea that we're capped at a certain point, like we're limited. And these ideas come from our belief systems. So if you believe that you suck, you're not going to be able to get out of that, right? You need to change that belief system before you get any better. Because what you're looking for evidence outside before you change what you believe inside. And it doesn't work like that. You have to change inside before you start getting the evidence outside. I know that sounds bizarre and counterintuitive, but it's how it works. If you think you suck, the reason you're not going to get any better is because you're just going to do things that confirm that you suck. You're going to keep doing things that feed that mindset. So you're going to be going around, you think you're terrible, you think you're no good, you don't think you're any good at this sport, and you're just going to be reinforcing that idea over and over and over again. Where if you go out and go, well, how good can I get? I can keep getting better. I am good and I can get better. Then you'll find ways to get better. You'll find ways to improve. But if you're coming from the mindset of I suck, you're not going to be bothering with it. You're not going to be looking for ways to get better. You're not going to be looking for ways to become better because you'll be having thoughts like, what's the point? You might be having thoughts like, well, I can put all this work in, but I'll never be as good as this person, whatever it is, which isn't true at all. But if you're coming from that angle, again, your mind's going to start answering that from that angle, from that question, from that perspective. So you'll keep finding ways to think that you suck. So recognize that if you want to start realizing your potential, if you want to start getting better, even, you can get better at a rapid rate too. If you put in the consistent work, you have the right mindsets, like we're talking like a few months, you could be a completely different player. Within a year, you could be unrecognizable. But it all starts with your internal belief systems. Okay. So that's the first thing you need to recognize is you can't get any better if you're coming from a perspective of I'm bad. I'm no good. I can't get better. That's a big one too. I suck, whatever it is. I can't get confident. I can't. Anything with an I can't usually is not going to allow you to grow or improve in any area. It doesn't matter what it is. And remember, when anyone started out at anything, they sucked. No one kicked a ball right away and was really good. There are players who start really young, so it seems like that. So by the time they're 8, 9, 10, 11, they've already been playing for a bit. And so they look like they're really, really good compared to maybe someone who's 14 who started when they were 12. That's only because they've been doing it longer. It's not that they have this super gene that allows them to be incredible. It's that they just started a lot earlier. So recognize that everyone in the beginning isn't good. Any artist who's starting out, when they're first drawing, they're not artists. They're not like the artists that they are at this point back when they started. It took years and years and years and years of work. It took hard work, practice, and belief in themselves that they could do it, that they could get better. So with any skill, and soccer is included in that, you have to recognize this fact that believing you can't do it that's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen outside if you believe that inside. But if you believe internally, if your belief systems reflect, if they allow you to believe that I can get better, I can improve, I can grow, I can evolve, my current situation isn't always what it's going to be, all these things, you'll start moving in the direction you want to go. You'll start getting better. You'll start seeking out things, because if you think you suck, do you think you're going to be seeking out advice? Do you think you're going to be seeking out ways to improve? No, you won't, because you've already kind of resigned to the fact that you suck. But if you go, okay, maybe I'm not the best right now, then you can humble yourself. Maybe I'm not the best right now, but I want to get better. I want to figure out how to get better. I know I can get better. How do I do that? Then you suddenly come from a different mindset completely. You go out looking for videos that'll help you, perhaps. Maybe you go out looking for reading material that can get you started. Maybe you go out and find a coach, a team, a one-on-one coach, whatever it may be. And that all started because you came at this problem from a different angle, from a different mindset. Okay? So recognize that each and every one of you listening, each and every one that comes to my channel, each and every one that does anything, unless there's some kind of hindrance that's holding you back, like a physical ailment or something, if you're a perfectly healthy person, you have as much potential to get as good at the sport as really anyone else. Sure, some people may have started earlier than you and you'd be playing catch up, but it's no good to kind of let that affect you, because the best time to start is now anyway. So if you want to get better, if you want to improve, if you want to see those massive results that you've always wanted, and by the way, massive results happen little by little every day. Massive results don't happen in a week. They don't happen in 2 weeks. So if you're expecting things to happen for you in an incredibly short amount of time, it's not. But you can shorten the time by doing certain things, right? It doesn't have to take years upon years for you to see improvements. It can take a month. It can take a few months, if you do the right things. But the first thing is you need to have that belief in yourself and your ability to get better. You don't have to believe that you're amazing right away. I'm not asking you to, if you've never played before, to think that you're incredible, really good and better than everyone. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying to come from the angle of, okay, maybe I'm not the best now, but I can work towards it. I can get better. I can improve. I can seek out advice that's going to help me. I can put in the work, and then I'll get better. And I'll do it from there. So that kind of plays off of the question, how good can I get? It starts leading you to those answers. It starts leading you in the direction you need to go. It starts leading you to the videos you need to go to, because when you're thinking, how good can I get? You start looking up certain things. You start seeking out certain advice. Okay? So I just wanted you to recognize that, because I get so many players that contact me and they'll say things like it's the end of the world. Like, if I don't get this good by this point, it's over. Okay, how many 14 or 13 or even younger or sometimes a little older players will come to me and I got to get to this before this point, or I'll never become a pro, or I'll never become a great player. And I'm like, relax. Yes, you can. But if you're coming from this kind of mindset, you probably won't. If you're saying, I have to have this by this point or it's over, then it's going to be over, not because it actually is over, but because you've decided that it is. You've created this illusion around it that if I don't get into this academy, or I don't make this team, or I don't do this by this certain point, that it's over. No, there's no rule that says that. You're creating the rule. You're limiting yourself and you don't even realize it. So recognize that a lot of the time what's holding you back from progressing and from your potential is usually yourself, and you have to get out of your own way. If you are listening to this and you're 12, 13, 14, and you think, because you probably have a certain player in mind who you think is better than you, and you're like, how can I get to that point? Well, thinking about that's not going to get you to that point. What's going to get you to that point is, again, asking that question, how good can I get at soccer? Answering that question, visualizing it, seeing it, seeking out the advice, and then putting in the work. But by sabotaging yourself before you've even started and then wondering why you're not as good as these players, that's just not going to help you, is it? So make sure, first and foremost, I want you to recognize that you have this potential. You absolutely can get a lot better than you are now. I can as well. It's there. But I just want to make sure you're not sabotaging yourself before you've even started with these negative belief systems, with the questions you're asking yourself. All right. So keep asking yourself questions that are going to help you, that are going to help you discover things, that are going to help you realize how much better you can get. It will show you that kind of image, that vision of what you can become if you do this, and that, right? And that'll all, when you ask those questions like, how good can I get? Cut out the negative belief systems. Realize they're not real. They aren't real. They are literally in your head. And I know it's difficult to overcome them if you've been repeating them to yourself over and over and over again. And I know it because I had them. I had the same negative belief systems when I was younger. And I probably still have some to this day that hold me back, and I'm dealing with them, and I'm working on getting rid of them. And the thing is, you have to replace them. You can't just get rid of them. You have to replace them with other beliefs. So if you believe something like I suck, you won't just get rid of that belief system, because your mind's going to want something in place of that. So what you do instead is you go, okay, I can improve. That's a good first step. That's a much better belief to have than I suck, right? So analyze your belief systems. Analyze the questions you're asking yourself, and catch yourself doing it too, because this could be subconscious for you depending on how long you've had certain belief systems. So you might be in a situation where you make a mistake and that belief system might come up. You might say, like, you might get angry at yourself and a certain thought will come up. You might get upset at yourself and say that you suck. Catch yourself in the moment and actually switch it, or just analyze it. Like, take a look. Don't analyze it, just watch it and kind of recognize that that's not you. You don't have to believe that. Right? You're only giving it power by believing it. The thought may come up, but you don't have to believe the thought. You don't. Like, you could come up and you can say, I suck, and you can go, okay, just bye-bye thought. Or just be like, no, actually, I'm continually improving. But when you keep saying it to yourself and it goes unwatched, you just let it like wreak havoc, it'll keep finding reasons to support why you suck, instead of reasons to support why you can improve or why you are improving. Okay. So we're getting towards the end of this podcast. Final thoughts. Keep asking yourself the question, how good can I get at soccer? Do it from a positive mindset as well. It's not self-deprecating. It's not you saying things like, oh, how good can I get? It's being curious and actually thinking, how good can I get? And you have to keep asking yourself this question, because what I think of today is going to be different from what I think of a month from now, when I've learned new things, when I'm at a different place, when I'm coming at this from a different perspective. So change the questions you're asking yourself from those kind of self-deprecating questions to questions like this that show you kind of a glimpse of your potential, right? So ask yourself questions like that. How good at this can I get? You can ask that other question I mentioned, how good can life get? That's more obviously for things in general than just soccer. But if you want the soccer one, how good can I get at soccer? And continually remind yourself to ask yourself this question. Next, make sure you're not sabotaging yourself. Recognize that you have so much potential to become more. The reason that you can't see it is because you believe that you are something from your past. So maybe you weren't so good at something in your past and you believe that's still you. Or maybe right now you think you're not where you need to be, so you believe that. But it does not serve you to believe that, because if you keep thinking things like I'm not good, I suck, and all that, it just keeps you down. And it's also not true. The reason you believe that is because you're comparing yourself to one thing or another, right? Like there are tons of players I guarantee that are better than me, but I still know I'm a good player, right? I don't need to be better than everyone else to be someone who's good at this sport. It's the same for you. So instead of those negative mindsets, change them. Replace them with, I can get a lot better. I know I can get a lot better. I am good and I can get better. That's one of mine. Mine is, I'm a very good soccer player, but I can get better, right? That's one of mine. So you can use that one if you want. So replace those negative mindsets. Know that you have an incredible amount of potential, and that to really access it, you just need to get out of your own way and then put in the work. Okay, guys? So that's about it for this podcast. I was only prepared to actually talk about the question, how do I get good at soccer? But we went a little longer or we went a little deeper. Spoke about basically how you have an incredible amount of potential and how you can start accessing that, and to stop sabotaging yourself. That's the one thing you should take away from this, guys. Stop sabotaging yourself. Get out of your own way. And again, don't be frustrated if you can't do this right away, because again, if you have certain habits, it does take a bit to overcome them. But just recognize that you can, and it is possible. and you can move beyond them. You're not stuck in this. And if you need any help from me or anyone else, feel free to comment, and I'll do the best I can to kind of explain things further for you. Okay? So that'll be it. Let's think of a hashtag, shall we? I mean, I guess by we, I mean me, because no one is here to give me any suggestions. So what were we talking about? How good can it get? That's a long hashtag. How can I shorten that? I don't want to just be here thinking. So one that came in my mind was mindset, or positive mindset. So let's do that. Do hashtag positive mindset. That lets me know you've listened to this whole thing. It indicates to me that you're willing to listen to this whole thing to improve and to learn some new stuff. And if you ask me a question or give me a suggestion while also putting hashtag positive mindset with your comment, I'm more likely to use your topic in the next podcast. And even if you don't have any comments, put hashtag positive mindset in the comments just to let me know that you've listened all the way. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope most of these podcasts are off the cuff to a certain degree, so I hope that made sense. If not, again, feel free to leave me comments, and I'll do my best to explain anything to you further, especially for you guys, since you're listening to these all the way through, and I really appreciate that. So I definitely want to make sure I'm answering your questions. All right, guys, so thank you so much. Make sure if you haven't already, you're getting that ebook that I sent out. Again, SimplySoccerPro.com to download it. If you haven't already, link in the description. Thanks again for listening, and I will talk to you soon.